Hi, welcome to One Word a Day. I'm Sophie, your pilot into the universe of Chinese. We're going to continue our journey into the deep of this amazing language. As a native speaker, I'm gladly to share what I know about this language and discovering along your side some new meanings because it's definitely a learning process for me. Yesterday, we talked about 前言不搭后语. So 不搭 is not matching. So your forward, what you said before, doesn't match with what you said after. So there is some logic jump up there. We have two words repeated from yesterday in today's expression, 出言不逊. Okay, so a little bit nuance about language. You see the same character pronounced as 不 here, but in today it becomes 不. Okay, the textbook pronunciation of this character, which is our no, corresponding no concept in Chinese, the sound will change, depends on the sound of the next character. So in this second phrase, we have 不逊. So normally if it's a falling tone, the number 4 tone, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 tones. So So if this is the falling tone, then this originally falling tone is going to be converted into rising tone. So there is a 不逊 instead of a 不逊. Okay, doesn't make sense, right? So here we have a 不搭 because 搭 is a flat tone. It doesn't matter that much. So we can say 不搭 conveniently for pronunciation purpose. I mean, for the ease of speaking, I guess. So 出言不逊. Okay, we don't say 出言不逊. We can tell easily who is a foreigner if you pronounce it as 出言不逊, because that's textbook pronunciation. This is living language pronunciation. Okay, 出言不逊. Okay, 出, we have this plant image. And you can see this is the ground, so it's kind of uprooted, a plant from the ground. That's a visual representation of this. So in that sense, it's like the plant is out of its original bedding or grounding environment. So that's our out representation. And just to point out how beautifully, like visually beautifully, the lines, even if, I mean, Chinese, the contemporary you see here, it's like, there's nothing, it's sanitized Chinese, it's lifeless. I mean, it serves a function, it's a language, but it lost its elegance and beauty. And look at this original rendering of a Chinese, 出, like the image, the kind of a flowiness of the characters rendered like this way. It's like a picture. And it reminds me of this argive or agave plant. And that's kind of a desert plant, common to Southern California, where I live. It has a little bit of that kind of curve. You see these curvatures, looks a little bit like that. So it's almost like a naturalistic depicting of the plant. So to me, I'm kind of giving 2 thumbs up to the ancient language renderers, like writers, like literally writing the language people to have such aesthetic representation of a real world, but in a between real, the complexity of the real world and the abstract of make it clean and simple and the direct representation of something. Like they did a fabulous job. And this touches me as the inheritance of this language. Okay, maybe, I don't know, 4,000 years later or longer years later, I'm appreciating what they invented before and how they represented. Not saying that I don't like the contemporary because it's fast and easy, like nobody can make a mistake. It's rectangular. What we're talking about is mathematical, it's pure. But this is the life. Okay, that's my rant. Sorry about that. I'm just admiring my own language. And yan. Again, this is the mouth and a pointer of the cross and then the tip of the tongue. So this whole portion means the tongue, something sticking out from your mouth. So that's the basic visual storytelling over there. And then the two horizontal lines, I interpret it as sound bits from your mouth. So you have the organ and you have the result. So that's something related to words or speaking. And bu, okay, if pronounced just by itself, we say bu, but here is bu, okay. We have this horizontal line on the top of the frame, that's our sky, and then we have the silly birds that refuse to fly downward. A legend has it persists in flying upwards to the upper limit and refuse to go down. So the bird is saying no to the earth. So that's our heroic origin of the concept of no. Okay, 训 is the biggest word today. And you can see the other ones are kind of elegant and abstract, but this one is a late comer because it came from 3 components from this language already. Like each individual ones are already abstraction of something from life, right? Like this plant, this, right? And these 3 are images from something, and then they combined together to create a second, like a derived meaning from the original symbol. So the left one is a symbol for walking, and we talk a little bit about this symbol of 3 toes with the arch over here. So that's our foot image, and we have a 3 strokes, like a pattern. When we do something 3 times, it means it's repeated forever. Basically, it's like we don't need to write X number, like a 3 is enough to represent it's repeated. So repeated pattern, something related to your foot. So it's walking. So it's literally have the device of walking and had the result, the footsteps of walking, right? So the whole thing is just walking. And then the middle portion is in contemporary, it means child. And in our representation of human beings, we have this figure, just this is person, very generic. There's no emotion, no direction, no gender, nothing except it's a 2-legged frame, right? That's a person. And if we add a circular, like rounded head on top of it, it makes it cute instantly. So that's a child. And we have this like, hug me kind of arm thing. That's even more child behavior. So it's our child. And the right side is, well, in contemporary Chinese, it's simplified into this, but actually it's traditional Chinese representation. It means binding something together, because here is a strain of fabric, and especially this portion, that's some fabric draping. So it depicts kind of like this, right? Draping of a fabric. And then we have 2 circular things, like 2 knots of thing on a string. So the whole thing means you are knotting something onto a draping or to make a drapey fabric. So, I mean, in fabric making, there's a technique called knotting. So you can knot into one big piece of fabric. So I guess this is an ancient, like in that part of the world, this practice of knotting into a big thing, like a net or something, right? It's also common. So we represent that visually like this. So how now you have walking, you have child, and then you have knotting together. How to interpret that? Okay, so the full thing, according to scholars' reading of this, is somebody walking slowly, or somebody trying to escape. So somebody who is not in the front and center position, somebody who is kind of retreating backwards, like because they don't think they deserve that spotlight of front and center position. So that's what a child's position in imagine a clan. So there are generations and different genders, different functions, roles in the family. So who is a big boss? Who is, normally the oldest, wisest, or richest person is the head of the household. and then everybody else find their position, right? The whole ecosystem of their family structure. And the child for sure is not somebody who is going to be anywhere up there. So they are going to be the ones walking in the back. So that backward walking, and to me, this is kind of a network. So imagine the family or clan network of people, and that position is a child, that you are this child role in this network of relationship. And when you're walking, you're not going to be front and center. So that's the whole meaning. So put together, what does it mean? You have something out, you have speaking something, but it's not walking in the front and center. And this front and center eventually means you're not assertive, like you do not want to draw attention to yourself, you retreat, right? And this retreating behavior, almost like a psychological tendency for somebody who is in a child role position, is like they haven't proved themselves yet, they haven't bring anything to the clan yet, so their position got to be someone who is modest, who is not obtrusive, who is, demure, something like that. So 出言不逊, so not demure, like that's the opposite. What is the opposite? It's offensive, kind of right in your face. In English contemporary is like in your face. So, but that's kind of too wordy, so I just simply use offensive. That means it's not using language modestly, it's really outspoken, it's have strongly opinionated and worded, like heavily loaded words in there. So I found a representation of that. I'm not going to read that, but that's the kind of feeling of 出言不逊. Cash into the currency of thinking by one word a day with Sophie. See you another day.